What's up, ladies and germs? James H. Kennedy here, coming to you from HQ. I need you to like, subscribe, comment. The comments are incredible. In about 2012, I was at Comic-Con. These two people approached me, and they were very nice, and they said, hey, have you ever thought about going to a comic convention and signing? And I said, what's that? They said, oh, well, people will go and, it's like trading cards and, people from horror movies and different things, and you go. Now, I've talked about this probably on other pods. The first time I ever heard about Comic-Con was like 98. James Gunn, he lived in my back house. He gave me a comic book, and he said, you into comics? And I said, not really. And he said, here, read this. And it was called The Watchmen. And he goes, that'll be your introduction. And I was never so glued to a book. Like I read that shit in the morning. I read it at night. I was completely engrossed. But I remember James Gunn would drive down or take the train down when Comic-Con was comic books. I'm going to do a whole pod about him. But so he was like a real comic guy. That's like and I didn't even know what it was. And then I think like 02, I think they showed footage from Spider-Man there and the place, Hall H. And it was a whole new, and then the studios are like, boom. And then Comic-Con became a thing. But I heard of it early when literally dudes were trading comics, so that's what it was. It was like, vacuum convention or fucking AAA convention, whatever, all these conventions, right? So I started getting sent down there in 08 because I was on the Ghost Whisperer. There were 3 shows. I remember the summer of 08. I was there for the Ghost Whisperer, so we had our own panel. I was on Cleveland show, and Seth had a panel for that. And then I was on a Nickelodeon show called Fanboy and Chum Chum, and we had a signing for that. So we had a signing in the morning, a panel on, and then some press and stuff, and then a panel for Cleveland on the Saturday in Hall H. And then I think we had a Hall H panel for Ghost Whisperer on Sunday and another signing. So when I started going down there, I was down there for 3 different types of stuff. And I was still like, I'm not in a Marvel movie. I want to be in a Marvel movie. But I was really awesome. Like I got first class everything, right? It was fucking awesome. So anyway, these people approached me. They were very nice. I went to my first con. I think it was Blood at the Beach. They gave me a nice guarantee, like what I would make at a comedy club if I did well, maybe a teeny bit more. And I was sat in like a Marriott conference room with I remember it was Serena Vincent. She was in another teen movie, and Cabin Fever, Eli Roth's early movie. And then I think it was Gemma from I Spit on Your Grave too. And that was like my first con. And there was a lot of other people, but those are the 2 I remember because they were really nice to me, and we would see each other. We would sign and, laugh and stuff. And I think we had to go to a party. So these conventions, you go, there's all the signings during the day, and then there's events at night. And you go to the karaoke or the serial killer mixer or, all these different things. And I bought my first con shirt. It was a big pumpkin with Michael Myers' face on it. And we had to do these approaches, or you go through their haunted houses and stuff. These appearances, not these approaches. And, we had a little wine and we're laughing at this party and stuff. And it was great. And, I had a guarantee, and I believe I kind of made it right around it, but I didn't make any more. But it was nice, and it was like, oh, this is an interesting thing. Like I can do this when I'm not doing comedy and stuff, right? So I did different ones. I did that one in Germany, and I did, the different HorrorHounds, and then I did, different ones. And then I did Wizard World, and I did a good amount, right? And then I got disenfranchised. So at this time, these conventions were, it was a... I always said sometimes you feel like a piece of fried fish and you're under the lights. So I could do many pods of this. So if this does well, I'll tell you more. But you feel like a piece of fish, right? Because you're literally sitting there. It's like people are there. They get cool masks, cool memorabilia, very rare comics. It's like young directors like James before he made it, young writers, collectors, families, tattoo people, wrestling people, some people freaky, piercings, all types of stuff, right? But it's usually a good vibe. It's intense though. You definitely get some people that don't. There's people that are chill, and there's people that might not understand what a bar of soap is, and that's okay. That's okay. You don't have to do that. Just do a little spray. But they're wonderful. They're super fans. They're wonderful people. And you're usually at like the Radisson or something like that, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm doing that, and then I'd done enough, and it was different. Like in Hollywood, like when you're in a movie, your car's arranged, your hotel's arranged. You don't have to do anything. They're going to say, okay, you're going to go promote this movie. You're going to go for a week in Australia. You're going to do all this press. You're staying at the Four Seasons. Boom, boom, boom. Here's your per diem for a day. They pick you. You have to do it. All you do is show up. People will give you clothes. They dress you. They make up you. They burp you. You're done. When you do comedy, you have to arrange your own travel, which is fucking annoying. But you get a buyout. And then you got to do all the press. But it's getting better because you can do more online. You got to do radio and morning TV and all that stuff. And you don't have anybody handling you. Okay. So when you do these events, you don't have really any handlers except the people that are there. But what is that you have really nice volunteers who, usually work for tips. They're so nice, and they're usually really fans of the genres and stuff. But like agents will never let you pick up a bill, right? That's how a rep should be. A manager and agents, they shouldn't. So I was working with people and they were nice, but I just started getting disenfranchised. I started good, and then I think I went to too many cons, and I felt like I said, like a McRib, and then I would drink at night and wake up. I'd show my table a little late, and there was no lines. And people would come up to me and be like, I don't have any money, but can I just ask you, what was it like when you did that scene? And you're like doing a seminar for free, and you're like, oh, fuck. And then other people are like taking pictures of you, go, look at Jamie McRib. Like, people would post shit online. And it was fucking, I was like getting disenfranchised, right? I'm like, it hurts, it hurts your ego. And you're like, if you're successful, you have to do it. So I called it was the Boulevard of Broken Dreams, But it wasn't, because there were people that were still working. Like I was working, but I wasn't working in top tier movies at that time. But I was doing stuff, But you had people that were still working, and you had great people like Rob Zombie would go, and different people. But it was few and far between. Like I'm known, but I wasn't like in a hot thing at the moment. Like I was doing Tremors, which was great, but it was considered like straight to streaming and stuff, which was great. But how Hollywood is. So you go, and like I remember, I'll never forget, I'm not going to name this fucking person, but I did radio one time, and I was promoting, I was doing a big ass radio show, and it was a great comedian there who I love. And then there was another comedian there who I am not really fond of. And one person was promoting their stand-up show, which I usually did on this radio station, and I was promoting my weekend at this. And the comedian that was on the show was awesome. He was friendly with him. And they said, hey, so-and-so, how come you don't do these cons? And he goes, because I have a career. I'll never forget it. And one day I'll name the person. I'm not doing the impression because I don't want to put it out there. But I thought, and I said, well, yeah, I have. And I think I said something like, I have a career, but and with a little extra on top. Right. So this was a person that was in our business, that basically shit on these cons. And that's what people did. Right. So when I went, I was early, like I am, and I was doing good for a while. Then the guarantees started getting less and less, which is okay. And I always would make them. But then there was this one weekend I didn't make much. And my agents, like I said, agents should take you out. I started taking them out, and I would pick up the tab. Now, I don't think it's bad for us to pick up the tab when we're all winning, but if you bring me, like, pick up a tab once in a while. These guys never picked up a fucking tab. And then these guys would go with other guys that were on shows that were hotter, that they repped, and they were more excited about them. And I was like, okay. And each time they would kick me down to lesser people, meaning that they were the owners of the company, and then I got their top one help, and then I got the top two help, and I got like top three. So, but the con started changing, like I said, with, if you saw my video with my agent, Sean, how Norman and Walking Dead changed the game. And what makes me feel good is there was a time that he was a piece of fried fish that I was informed, which made me feel better. Because when I started doing the cons, there was this thing happening with this guy and this show, Sean Patrick Flannery and him, from Boondock Saints, and then this show, The Walking Dead, started gaining momentum. And I remember when I was like at one of these shows in like early 2012, and I remember walking down the hall and I couldn't get it because there was a little fucking conference room and there was just people just all against the wall, and we were trying to get to my room where my signing was, and I'm like, why are all these people here like this? And I'm like, they're like, Walking Dead, that's their room. And I'm like, but that room is all the way down there. And they're like, yeah, this is the overflow line. And that was the first time I saw like, whoa, the power of what this is, right? But it was still early. So like I said, so then I kind of started getting my own a couple times, and then ended up, I contacted Wizard World. This woman contacted them, and they gave me a nice little guarantee, and they said, come to New Orleans. It's New Orleans. So I thought, okay. And they fucking set it up beautifully, and tons of stuff from my lines and all the stuff, and a big, beautiful picture. And I did okay. I didn't do terrible, but it wasn't like one of my top weekends, but it wasn't bad. But the treatment was amazing. And Wizard World, I guess, was going to be like this huge corporation that was going to like, you know, Walmart the cons and make them clean and well lit and all this stuff. And it was, you know, I had the person taking the picture, and I didn't really have any solos or anything, but it was like, come up, take a picture, blah, blah, blah. And then like, if they wanted a selfie, we would just do it or whatever, or something like that. But it was clean and it was organized and it was nice and people were cool. And this woman got me a couple of them, and we went over to London and we did that. And they said, you know, Wizard World, I want to say it's 2016. So 4 years in, I saw a huge line in the back of this auditorium. I did like Nashville Howl at the Moon or something like that. I don't know. I did a different one. What's going on? And they go, Jeremy Renner's here from the Avengers. I was like, really? And it was set up where he was behind curtain, boom, signing. You couldn't see him. Big ass line, very organized. And then I saw other Avengers there. And the number that I heard was pretty insane. And I was already hearing that Norman's numbers were, which was crazy. Norman's numbers, I believe, were bigger than Marvel, if you can believe that. But I do believe it. So anyway, I said, oh shit, this shit just flipped. Like, this isn't like back room anymore. This is like fucking organized. This is like fucking fans. This isn't somebody coming up to you at the airport with a fucking Scream 2 sticker and you're like, sign it, and they'll flip it for $50 on eBay. This is like becoming a legitimate business. And agents tried to get in, and managers and all this stuff, but they don't know how to do it because the people that can run the business are you guys. The super fan of it who started as a fucking volunteer, getting fucking Jamie Kennedy a cup of coffee, or the guy, the third body from, you know, I Spit on Your Grave too, and they're nice to you, you're nice to them, and they boom, and then they trust you, and then that's how you get in this business, right? These are like, you volunteer just to get, and I'm telling you, it's the best way to do it. You get next to a star, celebrity, whatever their heat is. There's somebody that somebody wants something from, right? And then and then what happened was I felt like, I just started getting disenfranchised. My agents, my old agents, I was like, boom, I was like fried fish, and I had gone to too many different cons, and it didn't really work. And I was like, I'm going to take a break. And I turned down cons and stuff like that. And then I heard Wizard World, I think something happened to them, and they disbanded or something. And then I didn't do them for like 2 or 3 years. And I was okay with it. And I was doing comedy, and I was like, okay, whatever. And, because I just could sit there, and some days I would never have more than like 6 people deep. And if it was, they would be done, then you just sit there like this. And you're like, that's Jamie Kennedy. And they're like, hey, that's B-Rad. Shit. And they would like, he's got no line. Let's talk to him. And then like, there's nobody to keep the animals. You know, I'm the zoo. I'm a fucking sloth at the zoo. And people are like, so when you're like hanging from a tree, dude, like as a sloth, like what happened? Like, so, cause there's no demand, right? So it's marketplace. There's no fever, right? So then I get a call one day, and, you know, it's the fucking god of these cons, you know, the guy that I used to see running around who looks like a fucking, you know, ska punk rocker, Sean, who I would always see with Norman. Norman would walk into these Marriotts. He took us out of the Marriotts and put us in convention centers. This is really because of fucking Norman Reedus. And he would walk in like Jesus Christ, like a god. Not that he did anything, but his presence was that of God. And it was like, people were like, it's fucking Daryl! And this guy always running around, fucking, he had the same hair as Avril Lavigne's first boyfriend. I forget that, dude. Anyway, that's his agent. And I would always see this guy. I'm like, that dude's fucking connected. He's fucking smart, whatever. Long story short, one day he texts me out of the blue. He's like, hey, you still rep by blah, blah. And I'm like, nah, I'm not really doing cons. And he's like, listen, do you want to do them? And I'm like, nah, not really. And he's like, well, here's what I can do for you. I think there's a good con for you. And I'm working with, the rest of the Screamcast. Do you think you want to come to this con? I think it'll be worth your while. I was like, dude, I don't fucking know. And I don't want to fucking do this. And he's like, just think about it. I had heard that the other guys, I was before all the Screamers. And I had heard that, I had heard that Skeet started doing them a couple years, like right when I started to leave. I heard he started doing them. And then I heard Matthew started doing them. I think he got Skeet into them. And then I can't believe it. They got Nev. Once Nev went, I was like, oh my God, Nev went, So I was like, this is becoming more and more, right? So he's like, look, man. And I guess they had different reps, and then whatever happened. And then Sean started working with them. And he's like, look, dude, I'm going to fucking put all you guys together. Here's the good news. I don't fuck around. I think you can make really good money. I said, okay, what's the guarantee? He goes, there is no guarantee. You get a first class flight and a hotel room. And he goes, but here's the better news. You're going to make money. I don't fucking put my clients in things where they don't make money. And he said it with such confidence. And I was like, okay. And then the Donut's like, just do it. Get over your ego. I have to give a lot of love to Alyssa, because Alyssa's like, just fucking do it. Get over it. Free fucking money. But she doesn't know what I've been through, because she knows me a long time, but she doesn't know all the ins and outs of my life. She's only in the last couple of years, right? She's like, just fucking do it. And I'm like, all right, look, I got to bring my little fucking girlfriend. And he's like, all right, I'll get her a ticket. Boom. And we fucking go, and it's HorrorHound in Indianapolis, and it was just the three of us. I don't think Skeet was there. He was still working on putting the package together. He's like, it's going to be Matt. It's going to be Nev. David's there, but I don't rep him. It's going to be you. That's going to be interesting. And long story short, I made more money than I ever made at a convention, right? It was good. It wasn't crazy, but it was good. It wasn't crazy, but it was very healthy. It would be towards a very good weekend at a comedy club. Not an insane weekend, but a very good weekend. And then COVID hit. I did one right before COVID, and then it was basically a year and a half. He was talking to me. He's like, you want to do virtual ones? I was like, okay, if they want to do it. And I heard people were going to booths and putting up the fucking glass, and they were doing limited signings and all this stuff. The most person I would see throughout this process, actually before all this, was David. David, I would see at these cons before everybody else. And he ended up being with the same people I was. And he would go, and I did a few small panels with him, but it wasn't like the Scream guys. It was like I was here, and David was like somewhere over there in between, Sid Haig and Kane Hodder, and we were just mixed in. It wasn't like a Scream thing. And I did a show one time, a comedy show. I had enough time. That's how crazy it wasn't, that I could sign in a day and do 2 comedy shows at night, which would be hard to do. And I would see David once in a blue moon, or around at a comedy club or something. Matthew I didn't see for a long time. I remember when Kicking It Old School came out, I saw him, and there was charity basketball games, and I saw him there, and we were talking. He was playing in the same, Nike had a league for a summer, and we played in that. I'd see him sometimes. Skeet I didn't see forever. I remember I saw him, I think, at Balthazar Gaddy's 30th birthday party. That's how long ago it was. I saw him, and we were talking. I think that was at the Chateau at Suite 69, the best suite. And then Nev, actually, I would see the most, because I saw her at the Scream 4 premiere, and then I saw her. She'd seen me do stand-up, and then she was working with someone else that's a stand-up. Her boyfriend was a big writer, and then Nev saw me do stand-up 3 different times. I would be there, and she'd be like, I'm going to work so-and-so. And she's like, I'm going to watch your set tonight. So I would see her, and we were always supposed to hang out, but then she lived in Brooklyn and all that stuff. So I didn't really see everybody, but Nev, actually, I did see a few times. But, people go on their lives, they're doing different things. I never saw Drew. I never really saw Courtney. Courtney, during the Scream years, I used to see her, because she used to be both supportive, and she'd come to movie premieres. I remember she came to a movie premiere I did just to support me. I was really sweet of her. She's that type of person, to lend her credibility. That's a lot of backstory. So what is it leading up to? So my agent calls me, and he says, look, I'm going to start doing these, and I got you, Nev, Skeet, and Matthew. And my agent's like, look, think about it going. And he's like, listen, you got to do these. And I was like, do I want to go? Well, I just had COVID. It was in fucking January. He's like, look, He's like, there's going to be a HorrorHound in Cincinnati, and you four are going to be there. And I'm like, okay. So he's like, you're in? And I'm like, I'm in. I think you're going to do pretty good. No guarantee, but the hotel and the flight and all that. He's like, Alyssa can work your table. I was like, okay. And remember, that's what I'm saying. People are selling comics. People are selling props. People are selling merch. People are selling books and cents. And we're like a human piece of merch. We're selling an experience, right? And it's like, do you feel, I don't know, do people want to pay? I feel bad, you know? Like, I don't know, like, but am I desperate? But I'm not, but it's like nice and all this shit. There's a lot of conflicting things, right? So, and I started getting asked by Paramount. I knew I was going to get that beautiful tribute and Scream, and I'd done stuff, and I knew I was going to have a voiceover, and I know, like, having a voiceover, people are going to be like, that's an Easter egg excite people, and I knew Scream was coming out, and they waited the right amount of time, and then they started asking me to do press for the movie. I'm like, well, I'm really not in it. And they're like, I know, but then the box set came out, so like, can you do a day of box set? And I'm like, okay, and then I was like, I want to support it, and then they were like, will you do some press and talk about the new movie? And I was like, yeah. And then they're like, can you be on Drew's show? And then Drew was like supporting it. And Courtney and David and Nev, like the big three are there. And I'm like, okay, I'll pop in and surprise them. And then my niece and nephew did an article and they were talking about me. So I was like, there's all this Screamverse again, right? And I was like, fuck. And then, Kyle, who runs my channel, was like, you got to do a reaction. And so Scream started getting really heavy. Comes out, kills, does amazing, introduces the world to new stars, reintroduces the franchise, shows you the legacy's intact, shocks everybody with the death of Dewey, and then, they decide they're going to do another one. So as that's all happening, Skeet had told me at Monster Mania that he was in the new Scream, which I was like, what? And he's Matthew's like, are you doing a thing? I'm like, I'm doing a thing, but he's like, yeah. And he's like, I'm like, don't tell me. He's like, yeah, I'm doing this thing. And I'm like, Skeet. And Skeet's like, I'm doing something too. And then he was doing something bigger. We go, and then I'm realizing that, Skeet is now super hot because of Riverdale, and he's in the new Scream. And Matthew's on Good Girls. Nev is in Scream, amongst other things, but all of our legacy, I got the Screams and Malibu, and Matt's got Scooby-Doo and, 13 Ghosts with Scream and all this other stuff. Anyway, what am I trying to say is that we go to fucking HorrorHound and it's fucking insane. It's insane. I did a video that was like a chill version of what really happened. Like, the press was there. They're taking papers. We're on the fucking front page of the entertainment section. It's low-key rock star event. Like, we have our own section. It's Matthew. It's Nev. It's me. It's Skeet. It's Matthew. And the ballroom was fucking jammed all weekend. It was the first time I never had to stop in my line until the end of the day. The Saturday, which is the longer day, I actually went out to dinner that night. I never met, and Nev was just looking at me going, look how tired you are. I'm like, I know. And she's like, I'm like, I had a day, like, not like my best day was one of her okay days. And she's like, yeah, it's intense, right? And I'm like, yeah. So something happened where we jumped the shark. And so the lines were crazy. Matthew's always got this insane amount of people in his line. And Nev has a humongous amount of people as well. And Skeet has a very big thing. And there's me. Now, I'm always, the caboose, I'm like, this is getting, so it was, at the end of the weekend, it was insane. I made fucking more money than I've ever made at one of these things. Every experience was positive. I never got grumpy. No one was mean to me. I didn't feel like a fried fish because I kept getting fucking restocked and donuts like Jamba. Like every time we'd make money, she's like, oh my. And then the photo ops are intense. Like I remember seeing Norman at a photo op and he would be there and it would just be fucking nuts. And our photo op was pretty fucking busy, right? I'm like, this is wild, right? And so my agent's like, look, you got Texas in about a month. And then we get to Texas and it's insane. And people, VIPs, when they let the VIPs in at 10, like I'm there at 9:50. I'm never there early. We're all there. Skeet's there at like 9:50. Matthew's there at like 9:50. We're all there. And the VIP, it's already where our queue is already full. So imagine it's like you have like this little queue of like this where people line up. So that's full when it's just VIP. Then at 10:30, there's another ticket. And then at 11, it's the fucking salmon show where they let all the salmon up the stream, right? So I'm busy and I don't get a break. By 11, it's like, and this place is jammed, right? Now at HorrorHound, we went and signed. Usually Sundays are slow and we sign till like 7 o'clock, which is like 2 hours over. And that's pretty crazy on a Sunday. Our things are lined up here. Then there's like something for fire code where there's open. And then there's all the next tier where it's all back lines for that. I mean, people were waiting, 7 hours for Matt, 7 hours for Skeet. Somebody told me they waited 2 hours for me. And Nev, somebody said they waited like 11 hours. Robert Englund, they were camping overnight. Like, it was insane. Insane. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And it was just, they run to the tables, they scream. Now I'm like, this is full on rock star shit. Something is happening, right? And I think we all complement each other nicely, right? We all have different experiences that you have, of what it is that you want. And it's I keep trying to get it all out. It's fucking, they had to cap lines, which means you got to stop people from waiting because it's going to be too long. And I'd be like, no cap, like let people. And then we would do our photo shoots and the fucking lines were down the fucking block. I'm going to do a video about it. I'm like, what is going on? And Matthew's going through the crowd and people are screaming, high-fiving, and then Skeet, people, and Nev, they're like, they're crying, and then me, like, Jane. It's like, we're all, I just want to let people know, like, who are there. Like, we're playing it cool, but we're not. I'm fucking amazed. I'm humbled by this. This is so beautiful. I think people have consumed all the screams. I think the internet has blown up so much of fan culture with GIFs and memes and, TikTok and scenes and shortness and streaming and Tubi and fucking Pluto and reruns and Hulus and then snaps and reruns and memes and sneakers and wild things and Etsy, and people are doing these shirts with it says "Call Me" and Skeet's a button, like eating his blood, like, and they like put him on a like all different types of stuff. And "Call Me," it's Ghostface, and they're like, no, you hang up, and they're like these shirts, and they're embraced, and they're in pink and blue, and Ghostface is becoming this fucking insane, like. He's like the side of a building, pop lexicon, forever, like bigger than anything. Bigger than anything. Scream is becoming bigger. It's the biggest thing I've ever done. It's coming bigger than any horror movie. You tell me if I'm wrong. And it's going to become bigger as it goes than each movie. I said this before. It's a lifestyle. It's a movement. It's fucking... It is leaving its mark, redoing its mark. It's interactive. It's meta. People want to be, and it's crazy. And I feel it, and we all feel it. But what's beautiful is it shows you the biggest disconnect between the fan and Hollywood. But it also shows you, it makes me feel so loved and so appreciated of other things that I don't get in my life. And even someone like Alyssa, like her generation, she's 31. She's like, I watched all the movies. And then like there's high schoolers who are now watching this movie and college kids, and they're the original people who watched it. And then there are people that are like 10 years younger than them who watched it. And then there's like new high schools, and there's like middle schoolers who are now watching it and like freaking out. And that's what I'm saying. It's like they're so far removed. They try to. Normal Hollywood agencies try to get involved in this business. They can't do it because it's run by the fans. It's literally Final Girl type shit. It's for the fans. It's like the last Scream fucking act. This is for the fans. It's a fan film. Like, this is a fan thing. And you have to be in it to understand it. And it's like low-key juggalo. Like, you got to gain their respect. But once you walk through that fire, it's fucking blazing, dude. It's amazing. And this is what I love. And I think that this power that's coming with us that I'm a part of, I'm feeling, it's like, let's keep going. Let's take down traditional Hollywood. Let's not deal with them because I'm sick of their safety nets, and they're discarding great talent people. Like, they don't understand what's hot. They think they dictate what's hot, but they don't anymore. You guys do, and you doing it, and you're taking older properties and making them as relevant as they've ever been. Romeo and Juliet, which again is a timeless film, like Scream. People love my pictures from that and pink shirts and stuff. They come up to me and I sign Samson, and I had a wonderful part, but it wasn't as big as Randy, and they love it. They're consuming that. People come up to me and say, I'm an English teacher. I show Romeo and Juliet. So people want what they want, and they want it now, and they can get it now, and they want what's good. And it doesn't matter if it came out fucking 3 days ago. Think about this. Think about the stars you love. Do you love them, or are you fed them? This is what I want to say. My final thought about this. There are people right now that are fucking hot, but are they good? Are they a part of something good? What's their legacy? Are they overpaid? Are they memorable? Are they quotable? Do they have quotes? I can tell you, I can quote fucking Hasta la vista all day. I could tell you Leo's got a meme from almost every movie. You guys decide what's hot, not Hollywood. And it's fucking beautiful. They don't get it. And there's a lot of people that are fucking supposed to be hot. Where's their quotes? Where's their quotes? Where's their memes? Where's their merch? Where's their stickers? You guys do it. And I appreciate you. This is incredible. Something is going on. And I'm fucking thanking you. God bless you. Like, subscribe, spread the word. Do what you love. Thank you.